Welcome to 5 and 5 from the One-Stop Co-op Shop, where I discuss 5 key elements of a game in about 5 minutes. I'm Michael Kelly, and today I'm reviewing Lockup, specifically looking at the solo play in the game. Quick disclaimer that I was sent a review copy of this game. To be completely honest, Thunderworks Games is on a bit of a streak for me. I really loved Cartographers, and Role Player Adventures that I played on Kickstarter is great. But does playing around in prison with a bunch of automatons rise to that same level of fun? Let's find out and get to the list. Point number 5 for Lockup solo play is a pro, and that's the suspicion system in the game and how you build up suspicion cubes and eventually have to deal with raids from the guards. Each round, suspicion cubes will be seated on the board, and whichever player has the highest strength at a given location will get all the suspicion unless they have a lookout, which for the player you have only one of. I really like the suspicion system because it changes up the relative evaluation of each action space each round based on how much suspicion you might gain by going there. And when you can engineer things, get the right goons and items and actions to make the guards take the fall instead of you, it's a lot of fun. Number 4 is another pro for me, and that's the fact that this game, despite being basically a mix of worker placement and area majority and being very streamlined, has a lot of variety in the play. First of all, you have goals you draw at the beginning of every game, 2 for solo play, 3 for competitive, and these can really change what things are valued at and what's worth what as you fight over different resources. But on top of that, the game allows you to play in advanced mode, where each of the different gangs you can control becomes differentiated with different spaces for resources and different victory points, and everyone draws a trait card, which further divides how you all play out and feel. All of this means that while the game is quick to teach and quick to play, it's not going to feel the same every time you try it. And what do you know, we have 3 pros in a row, because my number 3 is focusing on the AI guard cards and how you slowly reveal them and randomly add them to the board. At the beginning of each round, almost every location is seated with a face-down guard card of an unknown strength value, and at the beginning of every guard turn you can flip one of those cards up, and then you randomly see where another one is added. This gives the game a great mix of control and tension because you can sometimes lock down a location specifically and find out exactly how much you need to go there with to win, but in doing so you'll have to put some of your crew members at other locations where things are less clear and make some tough choices on what is most and least important to you, especially at higher difficulty settings, which I suggest trying out pretty quickly. It's a lot of fun and pretty suspenseful. But to go along with my previous point, I have my only full-on con for the solo play of the game, and that's how limited and kind of unbalanced the actions can feel for the AI. So on the 2-player side of the board, many of the action spaces give you a bit of a consolation prize if you don't win, and even in a worst-case scenario, you can go to the library and get some bonus cards to give you tricks to play later. But for some reason, which I honestly don't fully understand, they didn't make the AI work the same way. Several of the locations that would give them a secondary benefit instead give them nothing in solo play, and the library, it doesn't matter if they have the most or least, they just always get 1 victory point. And this, first of all, sometimes makes the AI feel a little overly weak sometimes, and makes it a little bit too obvious for where the player should go, because you can completely cut off the AI from earning almost any victory points if you do the right things. But it also negatively impacts learning the solo play, because you have this great iconography that is consistent for the competitive game, but then suddenly for solo, some locations don't work the same way, and again, I don't really know why. I'm not sure what balance choice made them go that direction. And I'm going to end for my number 1 with a point that would be a pro, could have been a pro, but for solo play, it's going to trickle down to a mix. And what I'm talking about is the core worker placement system of the game. So on the positive side, kind of going with my number 3 that I already mentioned, the lack of surety and confidence of where you should go, and your very limited resources with your crew members in terms of trying to capture the locations you need, really makes the action placement tense. You're never quite sure what you should do, how much you should commit. And another great thing, again, something I sort of mentioned earlier, is the fact that the game is full of consolation prizes. Like, oh, if you didn't have the highest strength here, you don't get as much, but you still get this. And worst case scenario, you get to go to the library and get some cool cards to play around with. So this is not an area majority game where I feel frustrated, like my actions have been wasted. Generally speaking, some stuff happens, maybe not everything I needed, but I'm going to accomplish something. So with all those good qualities, the only reason this falls to a mix is because it's still missing one of the great aspects of the worker placement in the competitive game, and that's the fact that you're putting some of your workers face down and some of them face up, and you make really interesting choices in what information you give away to the other players. So overall, I think Lockup is great. It's really streamlined, quick to play, quick to teach, has a lot of fun theme, really great variety, and some nice takes on area majority and worker placement with the fun suspicion system. Just lots of cool stuff going on in this design. My only hangups with the game are in the solo play. I wish the AI worked more the way that players do in the competitive game, and I just feel like I'm missing out on some of the fun of the game playing it solo. So if you're interested in both modes of play, heck yes, go for Lockup. But just solo, I'm not really sure. You might love it, you might not. But hey, if you want to check out solo play for yourself, click the link that just popped up to watch my full playthrough. Good gaming, everyone, and I'll see you at the next stop.